This is going to be a little bit of a less formal video. I'm just going to show you what my dry fire session looks like today. I'm going to do it as I normally would do it, just narrating stuff as I go along for your benefit. See if you can pull anything out of this. Going to start out with some basic marksmanship. So I have my dry fire area set up. Have some of these TA targets up on the wall up there. Targets, not necessary to have something like this. I also have some targets up there that are just strips of blue painter's tape. You can use, if you want to simulate a USPSA A zone or like the vital zone on a human being, take a piece of printer paper and stick it up there. It's not quite the same size, but it's pretty close and it'll accomplish what you need it to do. Again, this does not have to be expensive. This does not have to be complicated. In any case, it should not be. Additional equipment, I have my Shooter's Global Timer. I'm really starting to like this thing. I'm used to the competition electronics one, but I've broken 5 of those at this point. So not really interested in having equipment that I'm going to keep breaking. This guy seems to be holding up pretty well so far. I really like the belt mount, but again, not necessary. I don't think you need a timer to dry fire, but you do need a timer if you're going to dry fire and increase your performance meaningfully. You need to have some ability to measure where you're at and what you're doing. And then otherwise, I just have my normal concealed carry gun, Glock 45 with a TLR1 light on there. My magazines are empty. The gun's clear. I've already checked that, but I'm checking it again because I'm really not interested in putting any holes in the wall. Okay, so starting out, a couple of dry fire trigger presses. I'm just going to take the magazine and put it over there. Okay, I can press the trigger without moving the gun. That's awesome. While I'm doing, ooh, that one kind of sucked a little bit. I'll do it again, make sure I get it right. Okay, that was significantly better. Distracted myself talking to you guys. All right, and I wouldn't stand there and do 100 of those. I'm just gonna do it until I'm happy with the results and I can repeat them consistently. Quick point with that, when you're doing those slow dry fire trigger presses, try to have your stance such that you could actually manage the recoil if the gun was really gonna go off, and you're gripping the gun with the amount of force that you would if you were actually shooting it. That's where a lot of people mess that drill up. It's a very, very simple drill, but if you don't do it correctly, it's not gonna support your shooting actually getting better. Okay. So now we got that out of the way. I'm going to do some trigger press at speed. So I'm just going to set my timer to a par time. No, I don't need a par time. I just need a random start. Okay. All right. So I'm going to make sure the striker is reset, pull the slide back, let it go. So I have a live trigger. I'm going to hit start on the timer. I'm going to have one beep. I'm going to have my finger on the trigger. And I'm going to press it back when the timer goes. Faked myself out there. Okay, why are we not working? Mustn't have had this guy set right. I am still pretty new to this equipment, so I'm still trying to figure it out. Okay. Okay, I'll do that a couple more times. If I can get this thing running the way I want it to. Okay. Okay. This is awesome. Okay, still figuring this timer out, that's all right. The point of that drill is you're reacting to a stimulus and pressing the trigger as quickly as you can with the minimum amount of force. You're still trying to make the gun not move when you press the trigger. You're just doing it quickly, kind of to simulate what you would actually be doing when you're shooting at a practical speed, okay? So we did that. I might come back and do a couple more reps of that later. Just rework on that. Oh, okay, I see what's going on now. Now I'm going to work on my draw a little bit. So I kind of know what my draw time is. I'm going to set the par time on here to 1.2 seconds. I'm going to be drawing to a USPSA head box. The bigger you make your defined target area, the easier it's going to be to accomplish this at a high rate of speed. So when I start out, when I start a student out, we might start on a bigger box like this just to build their confidence up a little bit. But I really quickly want to start trying to do this on a smaller target area like the head box up here, because I need to make sure that you're doing all the fundamentals correctly. We want to do it fast, but you want to make sure that you're applying the right grip pressures to the gun and all that kind of stuff. So anyways, I should have been setting this while I was talking there. 1.2 seconds. Boom. Starter up. Okay. Didn't reset the striker on that one. Obviously, this isn't great concealment, but this is the undershirt I had under my flannel, and it's a little warm in here, so no big deal. Start that up again. Whew. I'll do maybe 5 of those. Okay, that was pretty good. Do one more. Wow, that was pretty solid. Okay, so when I'm doing this, I'm looking at a little bit more than just the main thing I'm looking for is, did my sights get to where they were supposed to go? Did I press the trigger before the second beep on the timer went off? But a little bit more than that, once you've been doing this for a little bit, you should know how your grip on the gun is supposed to feel when you get your hand to the holster. So if you're having trouble with your draw, something that I will do, I'll break this drill down and I'll set it to a par time of maybe 0.3 seconds, okay? I'm not that fast, so that should be just about right. Time limit, 0.3 of a second, okay? And that's gonna sound something like this. Okay, so try that again. Okay, so the time between the first beep and the second beep there, I think it does a couple extra beeps so that you know that the exercise is over. Time between the first beep and the second beep is 0.3 of a second. Okay, it's just about one continuous beep. What you want to happen before the second beep is, was my hand at the gun? Okay. Okay. Flubbed the shirt draw, or the shirt clear a little bit there. Try to be a little bit more intentional. Okay. So that's kind of training me to react to the beep going off. And then I'm also kind of seeing, you know, am I, in that really short window of time, am I getting the grip on the gun that I want? Are the touch points that I have on my hand where I want them on the gun? So what I'm looking for there is this knuckle on this hand getting to this undercut under the trigger? There. There. And for me, on this gun, is like this part of this hand, like this knuckle right here, is that touching that part of the gun on the other side. So that's kind of what I'm feeling to make sure that my hand is on the gun where I want it to be. And my holster I have set up so I have a little bit of space in between the belt line and the grip, so I can make sure that I get that set up like that. You may need to adjust your holster so that you can get a proper grip on the gun, or you may want to adjust it down so it conceals a little bit better for you. That's going to be dependent on you and your holster. Okay, so did a little bit of draw practice. We're going to practice some target transitions. So I got 2 of these targets set up there. I'm going to set my par time to about a half a second. And again, I'm picking these times based upon, like, I've shot a lot of live fire drills and I know about what my times are. If you're not sure what time you should be doing some of this stuff in, start, you know, like 2 seconds for your draw or 1 second for a transition and see how it goes. See about where you're at. If it's like, wow, I could do it way faster than that, bring the time down a little bit. And see kind of where your edge is at, where it starts to get a little bit challenging. If it's like, wow, I can't even get close to that, bump the time up a little bit. It's a little bit of trial and error when you're first starting out. So, okay, I'm going to set this to about a half a second. It's going to sound something like this. Okay, so between that first and second beep is about a half a second. In that amount of time, I'm going to be aimed in on the first head box. I'm going to press the trigger when the beep goes off and immediately rip off to the second target, okay? Ha, it wasn't reset. Okay, we'll do that again. One more time. I lied, we'll do it the other way. Whew, all right, so what I'm looking for in that, obviously I want to move quickly and aggressively enough that I'm going to make the time. I'm looking for, okay, did my sights go past the second target? Did I have to come back? Did my sights get to the right point when I pressed the trigger? This is, you're trying to be really intentional with your vision. You want to pick out the exact spot. So if I'm trying to get the bullets in this box, okay, I'm going to aim at like the middle of the letter A. Aim small, miss small. If you've ever watched The Patriot, you've heard that. If you've never watched The Patriot, you're not a real American. Just kidding. Go watch the movie. It's pretty good. I'm trying to pick out a really small spot in the target area and get my vision locked in on that. So I'm looking there. As soon as I press the trigger, I'm looking to the next target and bringing the gun over there. Your vision makes the gun go where it's supposed to go, okay? As opposed to taking the gun and having your eyes stay on the sights and move with it like that. I'm aiming at one target, I press the trigger, I look to the next target, and I bring my gun over there. That's obviously happening pretty quickly if we're trying to transition to pretty close targets like I am here. But that's the concept, that's the principle that you want to adhere to. Okay, so did some marksmanship practice, a little marksmanship at speed. I worked on my draw, I worked target transitions. We'll work a couple of reloads. This is definitely a deficiency of mine. I'm going to set this par time to like 2 seconds. Some of you may laugh at me for that, but I frankly just don't work these enough. So that's why I'm practicing, so that I can improve my current level of skill. Okay, reloads, pretty self-explanatory. I have a empty magazine in the carrier that I typically use in the position that I typically carry it in. I'm going to have a empty magazine in the gun, okay? All I'm going to do, I'm going to be on target. I'm going to drop the magazine that's in the gun and get the other magazine in there. I usually use the slide lock to reload the gun, so I'm just going to hit that on the forward slide as if I was going to send the slide forward. If you don't know what I'm talking about, the slide's going to do that when the gun empties out as long as everything's working properly, and I use my thumb to push down on that, okay? The gun's not going bang, the slide's not going to lock itself back, so I kind of have to simulate that part. But we'll try that out. Okay, we were pretty close. We'll do that again. All right, Just get myself up on target, get this started. Whew. Definitely need to work on these guys. That was so rough. And again, don't be embarrassed to mess stuff up. Clearly I do, and I teach this stuff. Maybe I'll try to chill myself out a little bit here and actually get a rep where I don't flub it. That was pretty smooth. I could move it a little bit faster. We'll do that this time. Okay, do it again. Okay, they're getting better. That's why we do this whole practicing thing. I'll do it one more time and I'll kind of explain what I'm looking at here and how I'm improving myself as we're going. Okay, that was pretty close. Okay, so what I'm doing at the same time as I'm dropping the magazine in the gun, and I'm actually going to re-watch this video of myself. I always recommend that you video yourself. You might be able to see something that you couldn't feel on your own. As I'm dropping the first magazine out of the gun, I'm going to grab for the second magazine. When I'm going to put that magazine in the gun, I'm turning the gun to the side and looking at the magazine well so I know where the magazine's going to. This is going to be harder so this is the magazine well. It's going to be harder if your magazine well is just a straight box. I don't have my 1911 here, but that would be a good example of that. Most modern guns have a little bit of flare on the mag well. So if you can see that, it kind of bumps out a little bit into a ramp. And then these magazines also kind of have that at the top. So as long as you get it kind of close, it should go in there. And I'll go over a little bit of reloading technique stuff probably in its own video, but I'm actually going to do a couple more of these because as I work on these now, I'm like determined to get better at this. So okay. And then after the reload, when I'm pressing the trigger again, I'm also looking at, did I reestablish my grip properly? Do I have a grip on the gun that I'd be happy with? I did not that time. I don't know if you could see that or not, but I was not super happy with that, and I wasn't super happy with where my sights were at. So that's the same concept as when we were working on the draw and the transitions. You want to have the gun set up in the way that you want to shoot it. It should be aimed at where you want to put the bullets at, and you should be able to have a grip on it that you're going to manage recoil, because we're going to assume that we're firing multiple shots. You know, you might not, but it's always good to be set up in a way that you can manage recoil well. Oh no, that was tragic. I definitely do worse at this when I'm talking too. Not to make excuses, but yeah, we're just going to reset that one. Boop. Okay. Yeah. Could stand here and do these all day. I don't practice these a lot. Again, because this is like such a small part of the actual shooting skill part. And for people who are concealed carry focused, you're pretty much never going to reload the gun in a gunfight. That's not my opinion. That's based on like analysis of tons of situations. I'm not saying it's not going to happen. I'm not saying you're not going to have to fix a malfunction. It is a skill that you should practice, but I put it in like a lower priority tier of skills than all the other stuff. Okay, that was I was all right with that. Getting more consistent. Woo, that grip sucks, but made the time on that one. So I will continue to work on that. What is some other stuff that I could work on here? If I had an exercise that I felt particularly shitty about, I'd probably go get a couple of extra reps at that. Really try to focus on the points of performance rather than trying to make a time, or if you were actually shooting a particular accuracy standard. So definitely focus on the process more than just like the outcome that you're getting on the target. Because you could have a really good looking target, and the actual like things that you're doing aren't good. Does that kind of make sense? That might seem counterintuitive. Well, like as long as I hit the target, like everything must be good. Not necessarily. Especially if you're shooting at a slower pace and all of your bullets are hitting the target properly. If when you speed up or when you do something more dynamic, the thing that you're doing is causing you to mess that up, that's not great. Okay? Just my take, just my opinion. I don't think there's anything else that I really want to work on today. Oh, I wanted to get a couple of draws in from not hands relaxed at sides. So I'm going to do a couple with hands in a high position and 1 or 2 turn and draws. So we'll do that now. Still had that set to 2 seconds. I was like, damn, that second beep is taking forever to come around. Okay. I was not particularly happy with where my sights were at. We're going to do that 1 or 2 more times. Okay. Sights were a little low again. I think I was gripping the gun a little bit lower when I was bringing my hands from up high. Do that again. That's the other thing that you got to watch out for. When you're doing a ton of reps like this, you can start to get a little bit lazy about your grip. You want to make sure that you do a short enough session that you can remain physically and mentally engaged for the whole time. So I'm probably going a little bit longer than I should, but I'm really trying to work some of this stuff out here. That wasn't terrible. I was pretty okay with that. Left hand could have had some more pressure. That was okay. Sights weren't quite where I wanted them. I went a little above the target and then had to come back down. Let me reset this par time here. Again, this is my actual practice session, guys. Like I'm talking a little bit, but this is just me trying to work stuff out in real time. Time limit. Do 1.4 for a pivot draw. It shouldn't take me that much time, but... Okay. Start facing uprange. I'll do pivot left. Have enough space for that here. That was okay. Do that again. Okay. I was drawing to a bigger target that time. I'll try that to the head box, see if we can make it. That was okay. Same thing as the target transitions when we're moving target to target. Again, a lot of these skills transfer over. So as I'm turning, I'm trying to pick up where I want to bring the gun to. So in the middle of my draw, I'm starting to get that set up. I'm facing up range. I have my hands in whatever my start position is. Timer goes off. As I'm pivoting, I'm looking with my eyes before the gun's coming up as I'm coming around. So yeah, I think I'll do a pivot right yet, and then we'll finish this out. That was a terrible grip. Absolutely atrocious. Not as bad. I think some of me is like subconsciously trying to keep myself in frame and also like not run into shit around here. So I gotta just focus on what I'm actually trying to do. Okay. That was way better. Yeah, so mental distraction is a big part of this too. When we're trying to isolate skills and improve them, we got to stay focused on the task at hand. So again, a big part of setting up your dry fire area, make sure there's no other people that are going to interrupt you. If you get a phone call or something in the middle of it, just stop your dry fire session, okay? That's where people run into having accidents. You load the gun up, you unload the gun. If you go out to the grocery store and come back, just once you're done with your dry fire, be done with it for the day, or at least this part of the day. Load the gun back up, say, my dry fire session's over, move on, go do something else. If you're going to come back and do it later that day, go through the whole same setup process. Make sure that the area is clear. Make sure that there's nobody that's going to interrupt you. Make sure that you have a safe backstop. So if, God forbid, you did have a live round in there, it wouldn't be catastrophic. So that's it. That was my practice session for today. If you have any questions, as always, hit me up.